Hi, this is my educational giant report on E.D. Hirsch Jr. E.D. Hirsch Jr. was born Eric Donald Hirsch Jr. March 22, 1928 in Memphis, Tennessee. He was born into a prosperous family in the highly segregated South. He left behind his father's prosperous cotton business and decided to go to school for an English degree. He graduated from Cornell University in 1950. He went on to earn his doctorate at Yale University in 1957. He taught at Yale for nearly 10 years. During this time, he wrote 3 scholarly books. Then he accepted a professorship from the University of Virginia. While he was teaching in Virginia, he had an experience that would change his life. Dr. Hirsch describes being shocked into educational reform while doing research on written composition. When he taught at the university, he was also teaching classes at the Richmond Community College. He noticed that both groups could read equally well when the topic was something simple like traffic. Although when the students were given passages about Lee's surrender to Grant, the community college students could not read it. He said that the mostly black students had no idea who Grant was, or knowledge of the war. He determined that these students lacked the knowledge they needed to read these texts. Hirsch believes that background knowledge is crucial in reading. He became convinced that the lack of background knowledge started in early grades. He believes that teaching this knowledge is more important than learning skills of reading and writing. His beliefs went against what schools were teaching, which was teaching how-to skills, because teaching facts were not important. He is particularly troubled by the anti-subject matter orientation of progressive education. Hirsch gave a lecture on his beliefs at the Modern Language Association conference and after was urged by his colleagues to write a book. The book, entitled Cultural Literacy, was published in 1987 and became a New York Times bestseller. Hirsch wrote, "Cultural literacy constitutes the only sure avenue of opportunity for disadvantaged children. He believes that children are doomed to be poor like their parents unless they are taught a core body of knowledge." He further discusses how poor children come from homes with poor academic knowledge and then go to a content-poor school, while middle-class children's parents make up for some of that lack of knowledge they don't get from school. Hirsch calls this the social justice gap. In 1986, he began the Core Knowledge Foundation. Its main focus is to write the core curriculum that every student needs. Hirsch believes that all elementary schools should teach a common curriculum that is based on what really works, that is demanding and rich, that is coherent, and that all elementary students can be exposed to. He also claims if this curriculum was in place through grade 8, the upper grades could be more focused to the individual student's desires. Hirsch has written a series of books called What Your Blank Grader Needs to Know, which reflect the core foundations of this curriculum. In addition to these, he has written 3 other books: The Schools We Need and Why We Don't Have Them, written in 1996, The Knowledge Deficit, Closing the Shocking Educational Gap for American Children, and The Making of Americans, Democracy and Our Schools. These books further his arguments for a core body of knowledge. Hirsch has made many critics over the years and has often felt like an outsider in educational circles. But he says that his father taught him to follow convention even if it is not what the crowd believes. People are finally starting to figure out what he has been saying for 30 years. His curriculums are being used in many schools and are gaining recognition, and parts of them are being implemented all over the United States and soon to be in Great Britain. One example of this is the new Common Core standards that have been adopted by the 45 states in the last few years. These standards did not come from Hirsch or his foundation. An article by the New York Times states, Mr. Hirsch did not write the Common Core, but his curriculums, lesson plans, teaching materials, and exercises are seen as matching its highlighted expectations of student progress. One thing I liked about Hirsch's core curriculum is that it unifies schools. For example, if every school in the state uses the same curriculum, then a student can move into a new school in the same state without feeling lost or bored. My family moved from a poor upscale neighborhood when I was in the 5th grade. I remember feeling a little lost at first. I also remember feeling a little left out when other children talked about what they had learned the year before. Hirsch's full impact on education is still yet to be seen, because schools all over the world are just starting to put his ideas into practice. It will be interesting to see if the core standards create an equality for education where even the poor have opportunities for college and better jobs. Schools in Massachusetts have been using core curriculum, and NEAP test scores have risen to first in the nation in math and English for 4th and 8th graders in 2005 and 2007. The greatest impact Hirsch has made on education so far is that he has made us think and reevaluate what is working and what is not working in the education system. Like most giants who have been alive in the past, we can see their full contribution to education. E.D. Hirsch is still making his contribution. His life experience has shaped his views and made him into an educational reformer. A quote that best sums up his views on education is, What he demands is accountability and demonstrable results based on a content-filled core curriculum. I'm a pragmatist, and I'll welcome any method that truly works. Hirsch says, It is his focus to find a better educational system that makes him an educational giant. Thank you.